When you mention the idea of a Soviet sleeper agent, some people may only think of Angelina Jolie in the movie Salt. However, a different name might appear for those who have played Call of Duty.
Kiss my ass! Revenge! You fucking son of a bitch!
Welcome to 3D Commando. Today we're going to be diving into one of the most tragic characters in the Call of Duty franchise, Alex Mason. His descent into darkness begins with his involvement in the Bay of Pigs invasion, where he is captured by Dragovich after clearing the runway for Woods and Bowman to escape. Dragovich would then orders Friedrich Steiner to brainwash Alex Mason, turning him into a Soviet sleeper agent in an effort to influence Mason to kill the president at the time, JFK. However, Viktor Reznov was able to sabotage Mason's brainwashing by interfering with the programming and ordering him to kill Friedrich Steiner, Kravchenko, and Dragovich instead. Reznov did this as a means to avenge the death of Dmitry Petrenko.
I do not care about no one!
The protagonist of World at War.
And I will have my revenge!
I swear to God, that's how Steiner died. Reznov killed him right in front of me!
It would make sense that Mason would want to have Kravchenko or Dragovich killed personally. However, the beef with Steiner was with Reznov, who had already died. By the time that Mason killed Steiner, he was no longer under Dragovich's command, and he was actually going to have him killed.
Those no longer essential to his plans are being executed. You must hurry before they kill me too!
Steiner was still wanted by the CIA, but they wanted to capture him alive. Mason, under the influence of the numbers, had torn up the science lab on Rebirth Island and murdered multiple scientists along the way in pursuit of killing Steiner. Although it is just a video game, Mason's choices under the influence were problematic, drawing parallels to other controversial in-game moments like No Russian, questioning the morality of Mason killing Friedrich Steiner and the scientists in the lab. Should real justice have prevailed over heroism once Dragovich had perished? Mason had committed war crimes that any average Joe would not get away with. Mason's brutal slaying of Friedrich Steiner and the scientists isn't nearly as horrible as that of Makarov's No Russian massacre. Both incidents involve the protagonist committing violent acts against innocent civilians in pursuit of a cause, pushing the boundaries of morality within video games. Similarly, both characters are not acting under US military command, but are deployed by the CIA. In the real world, soldiers are held accountable for war crimes. Mason's actions, despite the mind games played by Dragovich, would likely lead to severe consequences in court. In contrast, Private Allen, undercover, participates in a terrorist attack. Although Private Allen died at the end of that mission, he would have likely come home and be tried in court for what he did. At the end of the Black Ops campaign, just before the credits roll, the game shows that Dragovich's number broadcast would continue, and it implies that Mason, still being brainwashed, was actually the one to assassinate President JFK in the Call of Duty universe. However, this implication is hardly believable since we see Alex Mason in Black Ops 2, which takes place long after the first Black Ops. The CIA turning a blind eye for Mason killing an ex-Nazi scientist like Steiner is believable, but it would be really hard to believe that they allowed him to get away with killing the President of the United States.
I always say, forgive your enemies, but remember their names.
But of course, this is just the fictional Call of Duty universe, so none of that really matters. It's possible that Mason did kill JFK, and that they did allow him to get away with it. It could also explain how the CIA was able to give Mason up so easily to Menendez, leading to his assassination.
Even has people in the CIA.
It's possible that the CIA gave up on Mason, Hudson, and Woods due to causing such a mess with Menendez. Giving them up was the CIA's way of paying Menendez to get him to quiet down. However, they only purchased his peace for a few decades. If we are to believe that Alex Mason killed the president, then we must also believe that the CIA had knowingly sent Mason to his certain death. Mason had become a loose end to the CIA, seemingly attracting chaos to any situation they got into. The information they were able to gather for the CIA was no longer enough to keep them around. It's crucial to clarify that this analysis isn't an attempt to cancel a fictional character by any means. Gaming narratives often present morally intricate heroes, and Mason's actions are no exception. While criticizing the assassination of Steiner, it's apparent that Mason achieved a small personal win by taking out the scientist responsible for manipulating his mind. However, the greater victory behind Steiner's death was the fulfillment of Viktor Reznov's wishes by avenging Dmitry Petrenko, the hero of Stalingrad.
I will have my Revenge!
Although Steiner brainwashed Alex Mason, he in his heinous experiments subjected Dmitri and other defenseless soldiers to the Nova 6 gas right in front of Reznov. To misquote Reznov, Dmitri didn't deserve to die like a lab rat, considering Dmitri's pivotal role in World at War from assassinating Heinrich Amsel to the fall of Berlin in 1945. His heroic journey deserved the hero's exit. Mason, in a twisted sense, became the executor of that justice. From the eerie broadcasts of numbers to haunting visions of Reznov, Mason's mind becomes a battleground of conflicting realities. These hallucinations, triggered by the influence of Dragovich's brainwashing, not only torment Mason, but also serve as a reminder of his vulnerability. The consequences of Mason's Reznov hallucinations seemingly affected the people around him. They shaped his decisions, complicated his relationships, and added a layer of unpredictability to the narrative. His hallucinations might have been a coping mechanism from Dragovich's influence, but they unfortunately plunged Mason into a cycle of chaos that he couldn't escape. In the grand scheme of things, Mason's ill mind becomes a central theme, raising questions about the price one pays for playing with the human psyche. The mental battles Mason fights are as crucial to the narrative as the action we see, showcasing the nuanced storytelling that the Call of Duty franchise often ventures into. Mason was ill-minded. His ruthless actions were motivated by a desire to carry out Reznov's legacy. He was able to resist Dragovich's programming to assassinate the president at first.
Pray to be stronger men.
But he still wasn't able to separate reality from fiction, placing him in a gray zone of morality. In a moral crossroads, we must decide as the player whether Mason's perceived heroism in saving the world outweighs the war crimes he committed. Does the end justify the means, or should justice have prevailed over the narrative of his troubled state of mind? The narrative of Black Ops was shocking and engaging, placing players into the minds of an American-Soviet sleeper agent. Perhaps the lessons drawn from Mason's tale are that even the heroes can be tainted by the very darkness they seek to overcome.